everyone, it's Jessica here with another layout for the Not Just for Boys Kit Club, and I am using the Intrinsic Limitless kit today, so I'm just giving you a quick preview of all the goodies that come in this kit real quick. Comes with these awesome ephemera and the die cuts and these little puffy stars, which are super cute. There's a lot of add-ons for this kit, and here's all the papers. A lot of these are just so pretty. I just love them. It does have some mushrooms in it, which was what I was drawn to with this kit because my boys recently just became obsessed with mushrooms. So when we went hiking during our camping adventure, they decided to find all the mushrooms in the woods, and that I had to take a photo of each and every mushroom that we came across. So what I'm doing with this one is I have pulled out a couple of the pattern papers to use on this layout, and I've actually pulled out these little because they're kind of like die cuts from the hip kit that I recently got. So I decided to pull these out, and I have used them as kind of like a template, and I have just drawn the lines directly onto my paper, and then I'm cutting them out with my X-Acto knife. So I'm just following these cute little shapes so that I can layer them at the top and the bottom of my layout. And yeah, it's super easy, but it's just something fun to do with your pages if you're kind of out of ideas like me. So I've been super busy lately with the boys and also my baby girl. So we've just been on the run a lot, and this made for such a fast page. It came together so quickly for me. So I really enjoyed this one. And I really liked doing this. So I actually decided to do this on another layout that's coming up as well. So you'll get to see that soon too. So yeah, so I'm trying to think when that one comes out. I think it's the 25th, if I remember right. I think it's August 25th when that one comes out. So I am just cutting all of these, and I'm going to put them on a piece of white smooth cardstock. And it's just a smooth white cardstock that I got from Park Lane, and I'm just going to distress all of these little edges of all of my pieces, and then I'm just going to adhere them down so they're nice little layers. Fast forward this for you there. And I am using all of my photos here. I have a whole bunch of photos, but I'm actually going to cut them down into some tag shapes with some Ellie Studio dies and my magnetic platform and magic mat using my Big Shot machine. So I'm going to run these through to cut them into those little shapes, and I actually roll them through a couple times because I found with photos it takes just rolling them through like 2 or 3 times to actually cut the whole way through a photo. It must be like the type of film on the photos paper or something, but I find it if I just roll it through a couple extra times, and I do use a couple shims on mine because I use that magic mat. It seems to be a little bit thinner than one of the plastic mats, so I do shim mine up with a couple sheets of cardstock too. So I'm just going to continue running all of my photos through here to cut all of them out into these cute little tag shapes, and then I'm going to layer them up on my layout. So here you see I've got them all cut out. I'm just kind of sticking them in these layers and just kind of seeing where I want them to go and moving them around a little bit to see what placement I want exactly. I like the little clusters, so I want to keep them kind of grouped together. And I decide I want to put this up top, so I'm gonna cut a couple more pieces for the top, and I had that one left over from cutting the bottom pieces, so I decided that those look good together. I'm just gonna go ahead and use them. So I just cut straight across my papers, and I got that curvy edge from my other one, so I'll just go ahead and distress the edges of those and get those all stuck down, and then I can continue building this layout. So I just love all the embellishments that come in this kit. It has that huge pack of ephemera and little die cuts, and you can just use so many on a layout. So I'm going to pull out some of the colored ones because I find that this layout is it's a bit brown for me, which is fine, but I like a lot of grunge on my layouts normally, so the brown is definitely fine, but I wanted to add little pops of color because these mushrooms are really colorful. There's some yellow ones and some red ones, so the colors in this kit just match that perfectly. And here I'm showing you the back of the packaging because all the packaging from our kits come with little cut apart pieces, which is just fabulous. I love it. And so I'm just going to go ahead and stick these layers down make sure they're exactly where I want them to be. Let's start building this up and adhering down my photos and everything. I know that this is where I want everything to go at this point, so I'll go ahead and stick everything down, and I'm using my tape runner for that, and I think I'm going to pull out some Nuvo glue to adhere some of this down, like this acrylic mushroom piece. That's part of the add-ons that you can get with the kit, and I think, if I remember right, I think it comes in a couple different colors too. I think gray is the one that I have, but I think it comes in another color too. And here's the big pack of ephemera that comes with the kit. So I am just getting rid of all those bigger pieces that I know I'm not going to use on this layout. I wanted to kind of use one of those frames, but it didn't really go with the flow of my layout and how I wanted it. So I decided against using it. It did look kind of cute up there with the little mushroom acrylic piece anchored to it in the corner, but I ended up pulling it off and not using it. So I like my little mushroom acrylic piece down at the bottom, but I start building this, and I'm going to tuck in a whole bunch of these little ticket pieces and little tabs and things around my photos. I'll pull out some of those little cute phrases and use those. I wanted to keep this kind of into 3 clusters with my photos, so there I ended up pulling that frame off. And I grabbed these alpha letters from one of our previous kits, and I'm just going to adhere these down. They're super sticky already, so I don't need to reinforce them or anything. But I'm just going to make my titles say Shroom hunting because that's what we're doing. We're in the woods and we're hunting for mushrooms. So I'll make that be my title, and I will fast forward this in just a second. And then I'm just going to continue building this. So I'm going to go ahead and pop my photos down up here because I know that's exactly where I want them to go. And then I'll pop down my top piece here. This is going to be my top layer. And I know that's exactly where I want it to go. And I'm just going to kind of push things underneath that. So it's okay if I go ahead and stick it down. And the mushroom acrylic piece, I keep moving it around through this entire layout, but I think I finally settled, and I'm going to put it at the bottom there. Just adding another little ticket beside my photos up top. And I really like these little leaves, but I didn't want to use the whole entire thing, so I'm just going to cut it and use that top portion. That way I can save the rest for another layout. So I like to do that sometimes with some bigger embellishments, like Vicki Boutin's a lot of times are big, and oftentimes I cut them in half and only use half because they're just so large and it's hard for me to use the whole thing. So I just cut them down, and then I can get a couple layouts, or I can move them around and use them in a couple different spots on one layout. Popping a couple little butterflies on here for some color, and because we were out in the woods, so why not? And then just continuing to build this up and stick down all my little tickets and all my little pieces. I'm actually going to pop up my little butterflies with some 3D foam squares. So I'll just adhere the foam squares just to the middle, and then I will kind of bend up the wings a little bit so it kind of looks like they have some movement. And then I'm just continuing to tuck these in with my photos and make sure everything is stuck down on here. I'm going to pop this photo up with some of my ThermoWeb Jumbo 3D foam tape. And as you can see, I grabbed my date there. I like to keep my photos all in date order in my albums, even if they're not scrapped. And I write the dates on all the backs of them. So that's what I was doing there, was just grabbing my date and programming it into my date stamp. That way I didn't lose it or forget after all of these are already stuck down. And that's good to go. So I'm just grabbing an Ellie's Studio stamp set here for some little wordy bits on my little tab here. So I'm going to stamp that real quick with some black Archival ink, and then that'll be done. I can go ahead and adhere that back down to my photo. It's just going to go on the right side of this little photo here. And then here, I'm just seeing what else I can add to this. I know that this little butterfly is going to get popped up, so I'm just bringing up my foam squares now. So I'm going to go ahead and put this guy down, and I'll do the same with the other one up top after I tuck in that little ticket. And then I realized I didn't adhere that photo down, so I just did there. And then here's where I'm kind of fluffing up the wings a little bit. And then I have pulled out some Vicki Boutin Fernwood collection because it actually matches this kit really, really well. So if you have that collection, it'd be a good one to use alongside this one. It has a lot of mushroom stickers and things in it. So I am just using that one along with this just to enhance and add a couple more little embellishments. And then I'm going to add some shimmer spray. I think this one's like an antique brown or bronze color in some Nuvo. And I think it was actually in the shop at one point in time, but I don't know if we have it anymore. But I've just used that and added a little bit of sparkle on there. And then I go back to my title again. I decide that it was really bothering me that I just wrote Shroom and I didn't put an apostrophe at the beginning to emphasize that it's supposed to be mushroom. And I don't know why that bothers me so much, but it does. I like to be grammatically correct when I can on my layouts. And whenever I write things, I like to be the same way. So I may not talk correctly most of the time. I have my Pennsylvania slang that comes out quite often. But I do like to write and be correct. So it was really, really bothering me that apostrophe wasn't there. So I made my own because that alpha set did not come with an apostrophe. So I made my own by cutting, I think it was a Q. So it worked out just fine. Here I'm just using another Ellie stamp to stamp on another little label to put up here. I'm gonna put that little wordy bit up there, and I'm just using some Nuvo glue to finish attaching everything. I like to use the Nuvo glue from the shop. This is the deluxe adhesive, and it dries clear, so you don't have to worry about seeing it after it's dry, and it does work really nicely for sequins and acrylic pieces. It holds very, very well. I have some older layouts in my books that I did a while back with this glue, and it's still stuck on there for life, so it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So here I'm just going to go ahead and put some sequins down. You can grab this sequin mix from the shop. I actually used a couple different ones and mixed them together. And I put sequins all over this layout just for some little pops of color and sparkle. And then I'm just going to add all of my little baker's twine here to my layout. And I'll add this to all of my photos. So there you can see I have all my baker's twine on all of my tags. I didn't do that top one on the left side at the top because it's kind of tucked in underneath my layer, so I didn't worry about putting that one on. Then I'm just going to do a little bit of journaling. I've added my date stamp with some black archival ink, and I'm just going to do a little bit of journaling just to write down that my boys just became obsessed with mushrooms recently, and that's what we're doing. We're having a mushroom hunt at the campground on the trails. So I just like to do a little bit of journaling on there whenever I have something to say. Usually my layouts are pretty self-explanatory, but this one I felt that I should just mention that they just love looking for mushrooms. So here is the finished layout. I will link the kit down below in the description if you want to grab it from the shop. And here's some close-ups for you. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video today, and thank you so much for being here and inspiring me every day, because I get inspiration from you guys as well, just as much as you get it from me. So thank you so much for all the love and support, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.